Seventh elections of the Fourth Republic in our recent unassailed democratic rule beckons. Unfettered yet fragile democracy faces yet another intense politicking, high-level horse trading, and great expectation from over 200 million Nigerians, people who are interested in the fate of this country and expecting who becomes the next president of Nigeria in the over 60 years of Africa's largest nation's life after independence. Welcome, everyone. The clock ticks. The election day beckons. It's 24 days before Nigerians begin voting. Your station, Channels Television, built on trust, is the continent's trusted voice for election and politics. And we open our election studio on the first day of the month of election. Welcome, everyone. Your political program, Politics Today, and Sunday Politics will now assume a new nature and will be about the elections of 2023. Welcome to the 2023 Verdict Studio, Channels Television Election Studio, right here in the heart of the nation's capital, Abuja. And let the verdict begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Now, let's begin. Amidst internal wranglings and high-level politicking, Governor El-Rufai's statement spikes controversies, establishing the internal breaking in the APC. House divided against itself. And the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar says to CBN Governor, do not succumb to blackmail. Now, we're finally here in the election month. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the 2023 Verdict, live on Channels Television. I'm sure Kimbaloe in Abuja, and our countdown continues. We're keeping our eyes, and that's the reason why tonight Channels Television is taking it up to keep tabs on what is happening across the nation as far as the elections is concerned. It's 23 days to the Nigerians are anticipating to elect their leaders in February this year, and Channels Television will be combing the nation for you to give you the election Nigerians are anticipating. Get your PVC and make your votes count. It's indeed some very interesting past few hours in the nation's politics, and a lot of things are happening already. We are looking at what is happening in every of the political parties, what INEC is doing, and our business right here on the network is to bring you all the details that you need to know. So within these next 1.5 hours, we'll be bringing you up to speed with all that you need to know. Now, let's bring you the latest happening in respect to politics and election in Nigeria today. All right, then. We'll be beginning you the elections update just in a bit. Well, is the election update ready? Okay, we'll be bringing you election updates in a bit. So, today on Channels Television, the governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, was right here on our breakfast show where he was talking about what is happening in the APC and those elements, according to him, within the presidency that are bent on sabotaging or not allowing or making the presidential candidate of their party to win the election. That has sparked some controversies, which will be getting some reactions on. Well, a lot of the political parties are already weighing in on this one. And even within the APC, these has caused some stir. Meetings upon meetings, we understand, has been going on. In fact, some spokespersons of the APC are already speaking up about this. How does this impact on the state of the race? Let's check the state of the race. All right. Tonight, I have joining me right here in our studio here in Abuja, Mr. Femi Fanikaude, who is the spokesperson, one of the spokespersons of the APC Presidential Campaign Organization. In fact, he's the director in charge of public engagement and special duties for the PCC. Thank you so much, Chief Enifankade, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let me allow you to listen to some of these sound bites that are coming. First is that of Governor Nasir El-Rufai. I'd like you to listen. Perhaps you watched it, but take a listen to what he said earlier today.
Sure.
I believe that there are elements in the villa that want us to lose the elections because they didn't get their way. They had their candidate. Their candidate didn't win the primaries. And I think they are still trying to get us to lose the elections. And they are hiding behind the president's desire to do what he thinks is right. I'll give 2 examples. This petroleum subsidy, which is costing the country trillions of naira, was something that we all agreed will be removed. In fact, I had a discussion with the president and showed him why it had to go. Because how can you have a capital budget of 200 billion for federal roads and then spend 2 trillion on subsidy? This was a conversation I had with the president in 2021 when the subsidy thing started rising. He was convinced. We left.
All right. That's Governor Nasir El-Rufai earlier today. Well, let me get your thought on this. I mean, we've asked a question. For those, you are one of those who are tweeted also that there are elements within your party. Who are these people?
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm on all fours with what Governor Nasir El-Rufai has said. It's very obvious to me that a few people within our own ranks are not too comfortable with the emergence of our candidate and are clearly working against us. Now, let me tell you what that doesn't mean. That does not mean that the president himself is working against the candidate. That's out of it. I don't think anybody has said that or is suggesting that. However, like in any organization, any institution, there are a few people within that place that, for reasons best known to themselves, are clearly trying their very best to engineer policy in a way that will affect the fortunes of our candidates and of our party. And I think that's probably what Nasir El-Rufai was trying to say. Some of them are in the villa, others are heading institutions that are under the government, that were never part of PDP anyway, and that's always the problem. When you have a technocrat, where you really don't know where his heart lies, running major institutions, for example, like Central Bank and so on and so forth. My own view, and I've said this for quite some time, that there is some kind of conspiracy going on. You see, the problem is this: they know that when we go to the field later on this month, Asiwaju is going to win this election hands down. We have 22 governors with us, all solidly with us. We have 5 that are likely to support us in the presidential election, making 28. They only have 8. And of course, the third party and the fourth party have absolutely nothing. So we're very confident as we go into the field, and our candidate is making waves everywhere. So the only way he can be stopped now is through the activities of blacklegs, turncoats, backstabbers, and liars, and people that want to undermine from all over the place, create policies that are clearly unacceptable for this time, clearly uncomfortable with the people, and will cause resentment in the land for everybody, not just against the ruling party, but against virtually every politician. And I think there's another agenda in that as well, which I'll come to later.
So let's clarify this, because when you ask the question about this, you might, is it right to call them fifth columnists?
Yes, certainly.
I mean, the question is, are they members of your party?
It is not every person that is working in the villa that is a member of the APC. I've been in government before. They may be, they may not be. And I, can assure you that even if they are, they have their own inclinations, they have their own motivations,
what
they have
what
their
is
own
their
reasons.
Agenda?
Well, perhaps you should put it to them. But what I'm trying to tell you is
because we're speaking to you.
Their agenda is certainly not to do the best for Nigeria, to do the best for the APC, to do the best for President Buhari, or to do the best for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That is their agenda. Now, it could be a number of issues. Maybe, for example, Nasir cited one example of some of them felt that their candidate didn't emerge during the presidential primaries. That's possible. There are others that simply have a situation whereby they just don't want Asiwaju to be president. There are some people like that. It's a personal choice that people make. And when you're in a position of power, only God knows your heart. Only God knows what you're thinking. You know, just like Shakespeare said, it's a very difficult thing to know. It's a difficult thing to see the mind's construction in the face. You don't know what people think. Well, what you do know is this. If you're in government or if you're in a party together, there ought to be a collective interest. 95 to 99% of the APC are one family moving in one direction, solidly behind one candidate, praying and hoping that he will win. And we are working extremely hard. Some of us sleep, what, just a few hours a night. 18 hours a day we work now. I've just come back from Lagos after 6 days of resting because we work very hard. Festus Kayamo, Dele Alake, Bayo Ononuga, all of us, and in all the other directorates, we work extremely hard. And our candidate is out there in the field, going all over the country every day with governors and all kinds of people moving with him. So all these distractions for us is very disturbing because we are working and people are plotting night and day in order to create obstacles in our path to ensure this transition does not go smoothly.
What is the end goal of these people? Are they working for another candidate?
Well, this, like I said, I guess it varies. My own view, and this is just my view, is that some are, but I don't see how that's going to go very well, given the fact that the opposition are really so weak when it comes to, you know, what's going on the ground.
Which candidate could they have been working for?
I'm saying that some of them may be working for those that I consider to be very weak, like Atiku. I don't think he's a strong candidate, like I've said before. But I don't even think that's the major issue. My own view is that there is an attempt, in my view, and this is just my personal opinion, to create chaos in this country for everybody and to pave the way for something completely different. This is what I see going on. And I must tell you that I find questionable the policies of the governor of the central bank as at today. I don't question the policy itself, I question the timing of the policy. People are suffering, people are going through hell, people can hardly achieve anything. And I knew as far back as Christmas that this is what they were going to do. Let me put this to you. How would you feel, for example, if in a week's time, people still can't get cash from the banks? What effect do you think that will have on the people of this country? How do you think it will make them feel? Those in the rural areas and so on and so forth. Yes, it's a policy. We need a policy, a cashless policy, ultimately. But why is it being introduced at this critical time? It will lead to nothing but suffering, resentment, hatred of not just the ruling party. And this is why those on the other side don't get it, but of every single member of the ruling class. And you're trying to provoke an uprising in this country to ensure that everything scatters and this transition does not go anywhere. That's what I think is going on. And I'm sitting on your program today pointedly accusing the governor of central bank of having a hidden agenda. I've never known of a governor of central bank that will be outside the country, challenge the security agencies, come back, ready to be arrested, and he's being guarded by soldiers. Who posted the soldiers there, and how come he has that kind of power? I've never known a governor of central bank who was summoned to come to the House of Reps how many times until the time, and he refused to go until the time they threatened him with arrest, and he quickly went there and made a few concessions and said, okay, I'll postpone for a few days, I'll postpone to the 17th. Even with that postponement, it doesn't mean anything. Nigerians are suffering. They're suffering today, and they will continue to suffer throughout this month. And I say it again, mark my words, it will be very difficult for people to get new notes until after the election because there's a hidden agenda as far as I'm concerned. They'll tell you, oh, the commercial banks are not releasing notes. It's not it's a lie. The truth of the matter is that they will not release those notes to the commercial banks because there's a hidden agenda. And there's so much more to this. That's just one front. There are other fronts in which they're fighting democracy and fighting us all. And as far as I'm concerned, this is not for any political party. It is simply for those that are interested in having an ING in this country and pushing us all to one side. And that, I think, is the greater enemy. Our enemies are not the Atiku. Our enemies are those who don't want democracy.
Yeah, is there a reason why some of the complaints, especially by the political elites, are coming from your party?
Complaints about what?
About the CBN policy.
Well, maybe because we're a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more discerning. Because let me tell you this, any politician, or indeed any human being that does not have empathy for what people are going through. You've seen what's going on at the banks even today. You've seen people fighting at ATM machines. You've seen a situation where overnight somebody will say you can only get 5,000 Naira from your ATM card. Go to the rural areas, how people are starting. We get calls all the time. There's no money, markets are closing.
Other than that, I mean, is this reason for the party? So I'd like to show you.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you don't have to be an APC member to sympathize with somebody that's going through that nightmare and that hell. It's hell for these people. The
opposition think that there is an ulterior motive.
The opposition have their own ways
and
of
so
thinking.
this, I mean, what their thoughts are that you there's a reason why members of your party or leaders in your party voiced out as soon as the CBN says he's mopping out the old notes out of circulation, because part of the plans of the CBN is to curb the issue of vote buying.
Oh, really? And
now,
well, first of all, we don't do that, and we don't need to do that. We never needed to do that. But they don't buy votes as well. If that's the issue, we have no problem. We have no problem if that was all there was to it. But it's the consequences of this ridiculous policy at this time you have to think about. It's not about who will win in this election now.
Okay, just a moment, Chief Fanikade. I'd like you to respond to this statement coming from the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, who in the headline to the statement released today, he said that he was telling the governor of the CBN not to succumb to blackmail. And I read some portions of the statement. He says that the anti-democratic elements who are pretending to be Democrats are the ones ganging up against the CBN because of the currency redesign and the cashless regime it seeks to enthrone.
Okay. Fine.
That's portion of the statement coming from Atiku Abubakar.
May I respond to that?
Absolutely.
Let me tell you what I have to say about that. Nobody in the history of Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, has indulged in vote buying and more corruption when it comes to this kind of thing than Atiku Abubakar at every election he's ever run. That's number one. Number two, the reason he's saying that, and I'll tell you this for free on national TV, is because they know what they're planning to do themselves. They know about the special app that they have. They know about the number of people on that app that they've already collated, so they can be sending credit to them on the app. So when they don't have cash, they'll say, well, Atiku is sending you 10,000 Naira throughout the election period. They have a plan for this. They know what they want to do. And what we are saying is this: they should stop pretending not to be the biggest cheats and liars and thieves in the history of Nigeria. They are not the people to moralize about this. We are not talking about issue of votes now. We're talking about the suffering of the people, what people are going through, the pain they're feeling, and the insensitivity of the CBN governor and the insensitivity of Atiku and his party and all those around him. For him to say that nobody should succumb to blackmail. Is it because his own children will have food throughout this month, whether there's cash in the streets or not? Go to the rural areas. Go to the poor places. In some parts of this country, there are no banks. There's nothing there. Most of Nigerian people do not have bank accounts. Are they supposed to open one overnight? Highly insensitive comment to make. So people should suffer simply because you have an app, and that app you're going to be sending people money and say, hey, have credit. You can cash the money later. Their plan, and they're working with CBN, is to ensure that no money comes out at all in this country up until the end of March, up until the end of February. That's their plan. But you know something? Whether they do it or they do not do it, APC will win. Ashiwaju will win, not just win, will win hands down, and will flog them and defeat them to the cleaners. Be rest assured of that.
I mean, this we're hearing about the loss of trust and faith from the northern elites or the northern voting bloc.
Who told you that?
I mean, when I ask you questions,
sure.
you know that I.
Sure.
I mean.
Okay, but yes.
The question is, yes. What about that? I mean, what has become the fate of your candidate?
Let me tell you this. I'm sorry to say this to you. It is a lie from the pit of hell. Anybody that tells you that the northern ruling class or whatever you call them are against Ashiwaju completely has misled you. Look, let's go back to it. I am telling you today that the overwhelming majority of governors in this country, predominantly from the north, every single APC governor from the north is solidly with Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There may be some northern elites that are against him, just as there are some northern elites that are against Atiku Abubakar, that have sworn they'll never allow him to win. And there are some southern elites against Abubakar as well, and some southern elites against Ashiwaju. The point is, let's forget north-south now. Let's go to the field as one nation. We have support of the 22 governors plus 25. We have the support of the people. The only way they can try to defeat us is by derailing us, by putting all these crazy contraptions in the pathway. If it's not fuel queues, if it's not get rid of the cash so that everybody's upset with the APC government, if it's not that, one thing or the other, all these little games, that's what they're trying to do, because they know that in a free and fair fight, they can't win. But I put it to you again, whether or not they put all these obstacles in our path, we are going to win this election hands down. You know why? Because our time has come. Ashiwaju's time has come, and nothing can stop it.
So let me ask you, the campaign of your candidate,
yes,
it does look like recently he's been attacking the policies of the APC government. And in Ogun State, he said a few things about the policy, the issue of few queues that we're seeing, the CBN policies and the state of the economy.
Yes.
And the campaign council had come out after that to say, no, that is not what the candidate meant. But he doubled down on that in Akwa Ibom and said that he attacked the policies of the government of the day, saying, how did they meet, how much was the dollar exchange rate when they came into office, and how much is it now?
You see,
saying, just a moment, saying that there are confusions in the handling of the Naira and the state of the economy.
Okay.
The government of the APC is in power over the last 7 or 8 years. The question is, this discordant tune coming from within your party, can you tell Nigerians the truth tonight? Because just a moment, this is no spin zone.
Right.
This is the moment where Nigerians need the truth. What is going on when the candidate of your party is attacking the policy of your party?
Let me put this to you in a very simple way, okay? There is no government that is in power, whether it's your party or somebody else's party, that is infallible, that is perfect. Every government makes good choices and makes bad choices, some more than others. This particular government, in my view, has made a lot of good decisions and has done a lot of good things. But that does not make them infallible. And the suggestion that nothing should be criticized or nothing should be looked at once again or perhaps rejigged or so on and so forth does not make sense in politics. In any transition process, in any situation where one party is about to transit with a different candidate, there are bound to be changes. Ours is one commitment, that is to build on the foundation, the great foundation that President Muhammadu Buhari has built. We're not going to criticize that foundation. And if any criticism was made inadvertently, that is regrettable. But we must build on that foundation. But for you to think that people will come up and say everything has been perfect simply because we're in the same party, I think, and I'm speaking for myself now, I think that that would be most incredulous and absurd. Of course there are challenges in this country. Of course we have issues. Of course we haven't done 100%. But nobody asked us for 100%. So, at least this government, in my view, has done at least 75, 80%. It's for this new administration that's coming in, on the back of this government, to build on that and right the little that we got wrong. And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Is your candidate campaigning on the achievement of the Buhari administration?
The candidate is certainly standing on many of those noble achievements, infrastructural development and so on and so forth, and so many other wonderful things that the president has done, the government has done. Sure, very proud of that. But there are other areas in which we can still improve and and we shouldn't shy away from saying that.
And so I'm asking the question again, Chief Anika.
Yes.
And I dare say again that this is no spin zone. This is where Nigerians...
You know I don't spin.
No, because it's in the nature of politicians.
I'm one of those that's too blunt to be a real politician. You know that. So I don't spin.
The question here is that you would defend your party, you would defend your candidate, and, well, you are telling Nigerians the reason why they should vote for your candidate.
Absolutely.
But the question is that in the process of doing that, you might say very good things about your party. The question is the worry that your candidate continuously speak against the works and the activities of your government.
Well, I contest that.
What do you think is going on?
99% of the time, our candidate speaks well of this administration, eulogizes our president, confirms the fact that he's built a magnificent foundation, which he has, and is committed to building on that foundation. Where changes have to be made, and this is the difference here, we're not in 2019 now, we're in 2023. He will not shy away, and I certainly wouldn't expect him to shy away from telling you or our other nation, listen, we've done well, but this is where I do things rather differently. That is what being a presidential candidate is all about. The incoming administration will be a Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. It will not be a Muhammadu Buhari administration, but it will be an Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. And the Nigerian people have a right to know that some of the things he's going to do is remove the oil subsidy. He's going to ensure that we have credits for everybody in this country to be able to go to school and so on and so forth, credit for education and so on and so forth, and for business. He's going to ensure that so many things are different, so many things are built upon on the legacy and on the foundation of Buhari. That does not translate to criticism. That translates into continuity with improvement, and that's what he's trying to say.
I mean, I don't know why that doesn't sit well, because I'm talking about what you're saying does not align in totally with what your candidate's saying. If you're saying that he's building on it, but the question is that it directly attacked the performance of this government. So what do you then tell Nigerians?
He directly attacked the performance of this government. Just a moment,
yes. Tinubu will be, his face will be directly on the logo of your party, the APC,
yes,
on the ballot. Right. That means you are preaching the APC to the voters. Now, Tinubu has just
I know you normally ask the question, but let me just ask you this question.
Let me land on. If I land on my question,
something's evidently wrong.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to
So Nigerians should know that there are failures in this government.
Listen, this government or any other government, even Obasanjo's government, which I said, was never infallible. You want me to put it like this? Everything President Buhari has ever done has been fantastic and wonderful. Then you know I'm lying. Simply because we know there are issues here and there for every government. But the majority of things he has done have been wonderful. He has done exceptionally well. Now, the things that have not gone so well, are we to say that everything is okay? Would you vote for us if we said that? Listen, this game is about truth. This game is about reality. And this game is about saying, listen, this is our record, take it or leave it. Where we got it wrong, we will improve on it. Where we didn't get it wrong, we'll continue to build on it.
And so you're telling Nigerians that your party has failed,
but they should saying that.
Still vote your party?
I'm telling you, not that they have failed. I'm telling you that they are not fallible. They're not infallible. There's a big difference. In other words, mistakes can be made here and there. President Buhari is a human being, and he has not failed. He has done exceptionally well. But where things can be improved on, what would you refer to as mistakes?
What would you refer to as?
Well, you tell me. You made reference.
No, is your candidate?
You made references to certain things that our candidates said.
Your candidate had talked about the fair queues. Is that a mistake? For over 8 months, people have been queued.
Let me take you up on that one. In my view, you must understand that these are artificially created problems for the president. It's not the president that is responsible for that. There are technocrats and people working under him that are mismanaging the situation, just like central bank. It's not the president's fault. He's being presented with a picture. This is the right thing to do. This is what we must do, sir. He'll say, okay, I approve it.
And we want Nigerians to believe that.
But that's a fact. That's the way government works. I've been in government. Okay? Now, the consequences of that are self-evident. When it doesn't go well, policy changes, like it did the other day. This same Emefiele was telling us all just a few days ago that he would never change the date. The deadline is set. But people got to him when they saw the implications was, okay, I'll now extend it to the 17th. That is how government works. So I do expect people to believe that. You know why? Because it's the truth. That is life. That is government.
Let's take a breather, Chief Anikari. Governor Nasir El-Rufai did pointed out that early in the morning on China's television that some of these actions are possible, that can raise possible anger of the people against your government, and that is detrimental to the chances of your candidate Bola Tinubu at the election. We'll look at that. The anger of Nigerians, is it growing? What about the temperature of Nigerians when they come to the price of food, the commodities in the market, the few queues that are experienced, the queues that are experiencing at the ATM, and all of that? How will it affect the candidate's choice? We'll talk about that in our final moment with you on the program. The 2023 verdict continues in a moment. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. This is the 2023 verdict right here on China's television. Your elections watch for the nation. Chief Femi Fani-Kayode has been my guest on the program tonight, and this is our closing moment with him. So I was going to ask you, in preparation for your response, about the question that the poser, Governor El-Rufai, gave to say some of these economic woes that we are experiencing and that there are saboteurs who are engineering this to cause anger in the people. Do you think that the anger is already there?
Well, definitely there will be anger if this continues. And there is anger there. But the question is this: who will it affect? It will affect not just us, it will affect the whole political class. That's number one. Number two, the reason these people are doing these things, manipulating all these things and creating all these problems at this stage in an election month, is simply to enrage the people, not just against the ruling party, but in my view, against the whole political class. There's far more to this than meets the eye. But let me tell you this, end with this. No matter what they do, no matter what they say, come rain, come shine, we will get through this. The APC will win, Asiwaju will be the elected president, and we shall prevail.
The presidency said that the president will campaign with and for Bola Tinubu in 10 states.
Yes.
How many of the states has he done?
I'm not sure the number he's been, but he's been in a number of states when he's in the country. I think he couldn't do a couple because he wasn't around, but he's been in a number of states. He's solidly with us. Listen, let's just clear this once and for all. Buhari and Asiwaju Tinubu are one. We are in this together from beginning to end. As an individual and as a government, the party and the government are one with Asiwaju, and we're moving forward together. There may be a few silly little individuals here and there trying to create problems for us. There may be a few technocrats within government agencies who are not even APC members.
Who are these people?
Trying to undermine us.
Is it difficult to mention their names?
I've already accused one person on your program today of being somebody that I would not trust with a barge pole, and that is the governor of Central Bank, because I question his motives for coming up with this policy as at now. He may do it later, but why now? But apart from him,
when you say within the presidency, because Governor El-Rufai was very specific.
Yes.
That those who are around in the villa,
okay, you're
not
talking
outside
about
the
those
villa.
within the villa.
Who are those in the villa?
I also happen to have identified one or two people, just a very small handful, but I'm not prepared to say
who are those people.
No, rather it is the president that will hear who they are from those from us that have access to him, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But let me tell you, they're inconsequential. Small group of people, they are not going anywhere, they're not stopping anything. Whoever they're working for.
Why is it causing some kind of panic within your party?
There's absolutely no panic. We simply brought it to the attention of the public. We've known this for a long time. Listen, I've told you, since last Christmas, I knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen. And we take it in our stride. It's nothing. Listen, as long as our generals in the field, our governors are with us, as long as the elites throughout the country and the masses are with us, the market women, the ordinary people are with us, as long as they're with us, what does it matter what a few intellectuals and a few technocrats within the villa or within the banking institutions or within the financial sector or the economic sector try to manipulate, to create a crisis, to deny the people of their will. Listen, it will never happen. We've seen it before in this country where the will of the people was denied, mandates were annulled, and elections were cancelled, and INGs were brought in, or things were rigged in a way that everything went in a different way. It's not going to happen this time round. And if they try it and push it too far, we will resist them with every force of the law.
Should your candidate lose, who would you blame it on?
Our candidate will not lose.
I mean, this is the game of win or lose.
If he loses fairly and squarely, why would we blame it on anybody? The choice must be made by the Nigerian people. But as things stand now, I don't see how somebody that has 28 governors, 22 of them openly, and the rest of the 5 behind him covertly, I don't see how he's going to lose against a man that has only 8 governors behind him. No matter how deluded that man might think he is, or how crazy he thinks he is. Listen, I want to end with this, and this is very, very important. I heard somebody on the BBC ask Atiku Abubakar the question, was that your voice on that tape the other day? He could not say no. I'm going back to the Atiku gate. He could not say no. He said, let's move on and talk about something else. That's the kind of man you think Nigerians are going to elect to be their next president, but that's their choice. As far as I'm concerned, the train moves on. Asiwaju is moving. He's moving strong. He's moving with Buhari. He's moving with the APC. He's moving the overwhelming majority of people within the villa and the government, and we are with him till the end.
Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, the Director of Special Projects and Public Duties with the APC Presidential Campaign Council, thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Shalom.
Now, we're bringing yet another guest on the program. But before we do that, I'd like to give you some updates on what is happening across the nation, election news update.
TV. The Supreme Court today set aside the judgment of the Court of Appeal Yola Division, which had on November 24, 2022, reinstated Senator Emmanuel Bwacha as governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress. The Court of Appeal in Yola had reinstated Bwacha as the party's candidate in the state. Two federal high courts in Jalingo and Abuja had at various times nullified the APC governorship primary election and ordered for a fresh primary within 14 days. However, that decision of the Appellate Court reinstating Bwacha as the candidate of the APC was challenged at the Apex Court by fellow aspirant Sabotage, and Kente has won the matter at the Supreme Court today. The presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Mr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, says his party will end corruption and usher in a new Nigeria that will end the suffering of the people if voted as president. Addressing his supporters at the flag-off of the NNPP campaign at the Obafemi Awolowo Stadium, Mr. Kwankwaso notes that the party has been strategizing on the best way to rescue power from the cabals disrupting the progress of the nation. The campaign train of the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, today made a stop in Sokoto State. Mr. Obi stormed Sokoto State in company of his running mate, Dati Baba Ahmed. He made his first stop at the palace of the Sultan of Sokoto before moving to the Shehu Kangiwa Stadium, where he addressed a crowd of supporters. Some members of the Presidential Campaign Council of the Labour Party in the Northeast have defected from the party and are declaring their support for the PDP presidential candidate, Mr. Atiku Abubakar. Announcing their defection at a press conference in Bauchi, the spokesperson of the group, Mr. Mohammed Pantami, explains that the group have been sidelined in the affairs of the party, citing the lack of internal democracy and godfatherism as reasons for the defection. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has inaugurated a 14-man caretaker committee to steer the affairs of the party in Ekiti State, a decision the PDP leadership says will end the leadership tussle in the state. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony in Abuja, the party's Deputy National Chairman North, Mr. Umar Damagum, charges members of the committee to work hard and ensure that the PDP wins the state in the forthcoming general elections. Loyalists of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, in Benue State, are promising not to work against the election of Governor Samuel Otom and members of his political camp. The campaign director for the Atiku Okowa campaign organization in Benue State, Mr. Chile Igbawa, stated this at a rally in Nuso local government area of the state, where he promised that the national leadership of the party will resolve all internal crises in the party before the general elections. Barely a few weeks to the 2023 presidential election, women in the Biase local government area of Cross River State have commenced grassroots campaign for All Progressive Congress across all wards of the local government. Speaking to party supporters at the Biase local government secretariat, the chairman of the council, Mrs. Ada Charles, notes that the importance of the exercise is to ensure that APC emerges victorious in the 2023 general elections. The governor of Oyo State, Mr. Seyi Makinde, has continued his campaign through the nooks and crannies of the 33 local government areas of the state. This time, Mr. Makinde is in Okeogun with members of his campaign team to seek support of the people for his second-term ambition as governor. Addressing his supporters at the rally, Governor Makinde says his administration has been taking decisions based on solid economic principles, noting that he is most particular about strengthening the economy of the state.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time tonight on the 2023 verdict. Now, we'll be hearing from the APC and what is going on in their party, best explained by them, and how they interpret some of the internal wranglings. What Governor Nasir El-Rufai said earlier on our breakfast show, Sunrise Daily, and we're getting a bit more reactions coming from Alhaji Lai Mohammed. Let me allow you to listen to him on what he also feels is going on in the presidency in relation to the mandate or the campaign of Bola Tinubu.
One thing I can assure you is that no matter who, this administration is focused and determined to ensure a free and fair election. And I think this administration and those that matter now, who was the most important person in this administration to me is Mr. President. And I think he has shown by words and by deed that he is committed to a free, fair and credible election. And fair, free and credible election actually means not favoring anybody or disadvantaging anybody. And everywhere he goes, he makes that very clear. Even as recently as Friday, when he was in Naira, he said the same thing. So if there's anybody who's working against any candidate, we don't know officially.
All right, then. Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information. Let's get talking about this. When the APC are speaking about these, they pointed accusing fingers against the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Tonight, let's get to hear from one of the spokespersons of the Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council. Mr. Charles Aniagu joins us live here in our election studio. Thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thanks, Shehu. It's nice to be here. Good evening, viewer.
I see that you are done the heart of your party. You know, insignias are not usually allowed, except if you have some to pay. Because
maybe on the ground of friendship, you will allow that.
No, I wouldn't. Because you're just easily advertising your party, which is not allowed.
The fact that you even introduced me as a spokesperson of the party, you started the advert.
No, that's not an advertisement. That's your title.
Okay, so
let's get to it.
So it's well noted.
Let's get to it.
Thank you.
Your candidate had come out in a statement, and perhaps it's good for us also to go over the statement and see what he said, asking the governor of the central bank not to succumb to blackmail. Nigerians, he says, are suffering, but he said he supports that there shouldn't be any further deadline shift. Considering the statement he made in the earlier part of that statement, where he said Nigerians are suffering, it does look, and this is part of the statement that he made, now it does look like there is a bit of contradiction. In one breath, Nigerians should not succumb to blackmail. The deadline should not be shifted, but Nigerians are suffering because they cannot get these monies out.
He says the central bank shouldn't succumb to blackmail. But we need to, first of all, take it from what he said when he pleaded with the federal government to impress it upon the CBN to have a shift, because before now, a number of Nigerians were not able to have access to the new notes. When he says the central bank shouldn't begin to consider a shift, he believes that within the window so declared by way of this extension, that the central bank should take steps to ensure that these funds, these new notes, the redesigned Naira notes are available to Nigerians. There was a reason for the shift, because there wasn't enough Naira notes for people to access either at the ATMs or when they approach their banks in the banking hall. And believes that this window that have now been created by the CBN, that the CBN should make effective use of it, rather than succumbing to blackmail. You can see there is a lot of blackmail, unfortunately, coming from even the ruling party, that are supposed to support a major policy of the administration. So when we started this campaign, in the early part of 2021, we had, in the later part of 2021, and then of course into 2022, where Atiku now became the presidential candidate of the party, we had thought that in the course of time, after the candidates have emerged, that our opponent would be Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Little did we know that they themselves have chosen another opponent. Rather than face us and face Nigerian people, they are now facing the president. And we're saying, please, the president has made a promise to leave behind the legacy of a credible election. All this blackmail on the president by the APC is not for nothing's sake. It is because the president is determined to leave behind a very credible election. And for us in the PDP, we support the attempt and the effort by the president to indeed leave behind a very credible election. Why are they the one crying more than even the bereaved? One would expect that the opposition party would have been the one crying every now and then. But you can see what is happening. They are the one attacking the president. They are the one attacking the president policy. They are the one alleging that they are fifth columnist. You recall at the beginning, they were mentioning the G5, saying that the PDP, the umbrella is torn. But you can now see that the broom is nowhere to be found. When we told them that they had much more pronounced crisis than the internal difference we have in the PDP, they said no. But thank God, I listened to you, the questions you were asking my elder brother while he was here. You can now bear witness that the APC, which was more or less an association of trained bedfellows, because the administration is coming to an end, the different entities that came together to form the APC are already moving in their different directions. And that is why you are seeing what is happening. Because we made it clear that APC is not a political party. It is a special purpose vehicle. Having realized the purpose for which it is formed, that particular entity is already in tatters. So for us in the PDP and our presidential candidate, our determination is to see that Nigerians are able to have an economy that works. And that blackmailing the central bank governor is not going to be the solution. Rather, let the central bank governor take steps to ensure that the redesigned Naira note is made available to Nigerians. And that once that is done, we support the effort of the government in that direction because the Naira note has been redesigned. This is not the time to begin to cry. Why should you redesign? Secondly, we believe that any effort to ensure that this particular election is not Nairanized, in which case it's not a question of throwing money up and down, which is where they were relying on. And that is why you recall, you asked their candidate to come before you in a town hall meeting. They said it doesn't matter because they believe with money, they don't need to interface with Nigerians. Now that they are seeing that we're interfacing with Nigerians and that interfacing with Nigerians matter, and that the money they have saved is not going to give them victory, they have decided to face the president. We are urging Mr. President not to go back on these policies. We're only pleading with the central bank to make sure that the policy function and function efficiently so that at the end of the day, Nigerians are able to have access to this new Naira note without those politicians who are thinking that it's money they are going to use to buy votes, not having access to such money because it will be illicit funds being deployed very, very negatively.
Is it true that some people in the villa are working with your party or with your candidate?
We don't know what that means. What we have said from the beginning is that we are going to work with all Nigerians.
Including members of the villa.
Including Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Our presidential candidate and his running mate made it very clear that they are going to have a government of national unity. The number one agenda on the 5-point agenda of Atiku is the unity of this country. And that unity of this country is not only unity of members of the PDP. That if we can get people from the APC for them to agree that we have to bring everybody together, look at the payoff on each of our adverts. As one, we can get it done. Which means when we say one nation, one destiny, we are not saying one political party, one destiny. If anybody in the villa who has seen that Atiku and Okowa means well with respect to recovering our country and bringing our country to winning ways, and as such they are ready to work with us, it means they are agreeing with our desire to rebuild our country.
So it's true that some people in the villa are working with you.
What I'm saying that even as we want Asiwaju himself to even
no,
want to work with us.
I'm asking the question. You're dodging the question.
What I was saying
is
that
it
every
true that
Nigerian,
people in the villa are working with your candidate?
we want every Nigerian to work with us.
That's not the question, Mr. Aniago. The question is, are people in the villa? It's not a general question.
I don't know.
Are people in the villa working with Atiku?
I don't know what you mean if the people in the villa are working with Atiku. If the people in the villa are Nigerians, and they are seeing that Atiku is the man that have what it takes to be able to deliver this country, there is nothing wrong if they are working with Atiku. So long as they are, except you're saying they are not Nigerians. If they are Nigerians, just as those in the APC, including Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a Nigerian, and he agrees to support Atiku for the purpose of rebuilding our country, as one, we can get it done.
But you still not answer my question.
I've answered as if they are Nigerians.
Are they,
and they have seen
if they are not, just say they're not. Are there people in the villa working with Atiku Abubakar?
I don't know if there's anybody in the villa who is also working against him.
That doesn't still answer the question.
No, except maybe you are prepared an answer, then just give the answer to me, let me read it.
I mean, you were a journalist, yes, so you understand.
I've given you
You're just dodging the question. The question is, are there people in the villa? It's a straightforward question. Are there people in the villa, because that's the accusation, there are elements in the villa working with your candidate? Is it true or false?
An element is made up of atoms. And in atoms, you have protons, you have neutrons, and you have electrons. I don't know which part of that element you are talking about. If you are talking about human beings in the villa, if you take it to elements, I don't know where the elements live in the villa. I have a basic knowledge of chemistry to know that elements has atoms that is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Charles, you just started talking in poetry.
And I know that's not what you're talking about. But if you are talking about human beings in the villa,
who are working with your candidate.
Listen, there are Nigerians who work in the villa, who are technocrats, who are not politicians, that we have campaigned to in the course of our interface.
And they are now working with them.
We need their vote. We believe they will vote for us because we have got what it takes to revive this country.
All right.
The issue of working with us is what I don't understand. But as to whether they will vote for us, Nigerians, including those who are in the APC, by the grace of God, we believe we vote for Atiku and Okowa.
We take a breather, everyone. When we return, my conversation with Charles Aniagu, spokesperson of the PDP, continues. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the 2023 verdict on Channels Television, your election monitoring program for you on your station of choice. Now, the state of the race as of now. The candidate of the NNPP, Senator Robbie Omusu-Kwankwaso, today we understand is being in Lagos, especially in Agege area of the state, campaigning to the people of the state for the need to vote for him and his party. Senator Kwankwaso at a few weeks resumed campaign across the nation, campaigning and saying with his supporters wearing the popular red hat, very common with the Kwankwasia movement. And we're monitoring what is happening in the camp of the Labour Party and the Peter Obi Dati campaign. They've been in Sokoto State today and campaigning. They first visited the Sultan of Sokoto before they moved to the campaign ground where the candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, was telling Nigerians at that campaign that it will end the endemic poverty in the land. And that is the state of the race for you as far as the 2023 election is concerned. Let's get back to the conversation with Charles Aniagu, spokesperson of the People's Democratic Campaign Organization. Thanks so much, Charles, for staying with us on the program.
Thanks for having me.
What is happening with the chances of your candidate? There are talks like the way I asked Chief Anikaude about the kind of movement that we're seeing and the kind of conversation within the northern region. Has there been some kind of agreement that has been reached that we do not know about?
From the onset, Atiku made it clear that he's a pan-Nigerian candidate. We are not going to northernize our votes or northernize our influence. The influence of our candidates is across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And which is why you recall at the beginning of this, when INEC declared that parties were quite free to interface with Nigerians. PDP at the earlier time was the only party moving out, reaching out to Nigerians before others joined. We did that because we believe that the ultimate power to elect, in which case the sovereignty, belongs to the people. And we didn't want to take it for granted. And also bearing in mind that the name of our party, People's Democratic Party, we also wanted to give strength to the name of our party, where the power, ultimate power resides with the people. And so for us, we don't want to listen to those who are saying they are depending on the villa, they are depending on northern votes. We are prepared to garner the vote from across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And that is why we have always honored invitations, either by television stations or by recognized groups such as the Nigeria Economic Summit Group or different chambers of commerce or even student community, because we believe that these individuals are important. They are not only important for the purpose of giving us their vote. They are important because we have said that we need to unite this country. We need to bring all hands on deck for the purpose of moving our country forward. And if we are going to do that, it means that from the beginning we need to engage with this different segment of our society. And so, my brother Sheung, we are not depending on any regional vote. are depending on a national vote. Because when we come in, we are not going to be involved in the issue of 7%, 97% and 5%. We are going to be involved in dealing with Nigerians on the basis of being in charge, and that we are contesting to govern this country and not to govern a region. And so our pathway to victory is the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. That's the way it is.
Tell us about the possibility of an alliance. Is there talk? Because your candidate has said that he's talking to Peter Obi and he's talking to Kwankwan. So what are the possibilities?
I don't know why that is new to anybody. Our presidential candidate from the beginning made it very clear, and in a different fora he did say that in 1999 when he came on board with Olusegun Obasanjo, they saw that the military years have somehow dealt a very dirty blow on the fabrics that bound us together, and that there was a need to bring every segment of our society, irrespective of religion, ethnicity, or geographical location, together for the purpose of moving as one. And just like I said earlier, that as one, we can get it done. That is our payoff. And so, Atiku is talking to a number of persons because he believes that when we win by the grace of God, that we will need these different persons, irrespective of the political party they belong. Whether we like it or not, we believe we are not like those who are saying that this man is a minion or is this and that. We believe that anybody who is contesting for the purpose of governing our country has got a stake. And even if it's only him and his family, they are also important to us. We are not one of those who want to insult people and say that they are like ice cream and that they are nobody, or that they are very weak in an election. We believe that everybody is strong, but in the midst of their strength, that we are actually quite stronger. Stronger because we have got the reach, stronger because we understand the country called Nigeria, stronger because our candidates understand the issues, and that you need to understand the issues to be able to deal with those things that affect Nigerians. And so, to that extent, I want to tell you that the talks that we're engaging, yes, if they decide to step down for the purpose of assisting our candidate to have a smoother ride, that is good and fine. But the more reason why we want people to work with us is because we believe that the lesser number of persons you have opposing your policies, the more progressive you are going to become with some policies. Look at what is happening with even the APC. Those who are even opposing the APC today, the ruling party, are unfortunately members of the ruling party. These were the same persons at the beginning who were saying that everything is good, that the administration of Buhari has done so well. But you know what? It's like the pounded yam. The more you approach it, as you eat it, the more you see the seed inside it. They have started seeing the seed that Nigerians have seen that, number one, the party didn't do so well, and that the president, in trying to leave a legacy for which he will be remembered, says, I am going to ensure that you have a credible election by not interfering. And urging Nigerians to vote for candidates of their choice. They are not comfortable with it because they thought their money will speak for them. And with all these policies, they are already jittery. And whether they are jittery or not, we will continue to interface with Nigerians. We were in Sokoto yesterday. Of course, you saw the mammoth crowd. By tomorrow, by the grace of God, we are going to be in Jigawa. We will, beyond even interfacing with them at presidential rallies, also go about what we call mosquito campaigns. Reach out to these persons and explain to them what we are going to do to turn the fortunes of Nigerians and not just seeking for power's sake.
Let's take a look at some of the policies of your candidate. He's being a poster boy of the idea of privatization in this campaign. Poster boy in the sense that perhaps more than any of the candidates, he's spoken louder than most of everyone that's spoken in their campaigns on the issue of privatization, and he's gotten some criticism. In fact, the candidate of the APC had said, do not trust Atiku because he will sell the assets and what belongs to this nation, and we will have only skeleton left. These are some of the words of Bola Tinubu at the campaign. Can Nigerians trust your candidate based on his idea of privatization or selling assets of the country for economic purposes?
Atiku is not selling the assets of the country. Atiku is going to privatize the assets to make them work and work more effectively for us. For instance, today we have the GSM. That's privatization. You recall that as far back as 1999, our economy was growing as low as 2.1% as the GDP. And between 1999 and 2002, we have been able to take that economy to as much as close to 14%, 14.6%. And that was the highest period you have seen in the history of this country in terms of the growth. What happened? Because we brought in the private hands to be able to do what they know how to do best. These individuals who want to, from backdoor, practice socialism, what have they done to the so-called national assets they are talking about? If you look at these assets they are talking about in the course of time that they say they don't want the private hands to play, they just want to have what they will hold on to. I don't want to take you to Lagos and what's happening with when they claim that Lagos is not generating more revenue and how that revenue ends up. This is not a program I want to believe for the purpose of attacking any political candidate. But you do know that the APC, and particularly the presidential candidate of the APC, has not done well in terms of ensuring that businesses are run effectively by people and for the purpose of generating jobs for Nigerians. What Atiku want to do is to govern a country that works. That if you are the man that knows how to tap palm wine, there is no need saying that my father is the one that owns the palm tree, and then you begin to tie red cloth around the palm tree as if you want to erect a shrine. That if you are the one that can tap the palm wine, please climb up the palm wine, tap it, and let all of us drink for the benefit of that tree. And so what Atiku is saying is not to sell.
Yeah.
It's for the purpose of having a very warm handshake with the private sector and allow them to play a very, very critical role and free the funds that at the moment is not even available. Have you bothered to ask why our foreign debt, why our debt have risen to as much as 70 trillion? To the extent that when they came in into as far back as 2014, we had 9.6 trillion as our local debt. Today, as we speak, is 26.9 trillion. As at the last third quarter of 2022, it has hit 26.9 trillion. Today, also, as we speak, our what we call ways and means, the one they take from a central bank, which was as low as 0.6 billion, that is 600 billion naira, as at third quarter of 2014. Today, it has gotten to as much as 23 trillion. Then when you also look at the issue of foreign debt, which was 1.6 trillion as at 2014, today it has gotten to over 17.1 trillion. And so what that tells you is that they are not able to generate. Because those who would have helped them to generate, they sideline them. The private sector that should have been able to create the job, they are not bringing the enabling environment.
There is also a historical perspective to the issue of privatization. And you can give an example of the power sector. There was a privatization, yes, but today, Nigerians are still groaning for lack of stable electricity in the country.
You need to go back to the blueprint put together by Atiku and Obasanjo. The unfortunate thing is in the course of time, those who came after them did not follow through the way they should have. What they did, there was a study that was carried out, and it was obvious that we needed to be able to have a proper energy mix, where you are able to take advantage of different sources of energy for the purpose of generating electricity. As at that time, we were relying so much on hydro. And you recall that even in the colonial period, we took advantage of coal, which is why a place like Enugu was called the coal city. A place like Jos was called the tin city. But what happened in the course of time? In the course of time, because we were now operating through hydro, we were enjoying it at the beginning because, yes, it was enough to power the few industries. But over time, we now had more industries. The population grew geometrically to the extent that more people needed to also power their homes. In addition to the fact that the number of persons have now gone into the middle class bracket where they needed air conditioners to also power their homes. Hotels have increased and they needed more power to power all the facilities, including the heaters and the warmers in the hotels, which meant that what you were generating from hydro had become grossly insufficient for you to be able to now deal with this geometric progression in terms of energy need. And what did Obasanjo and Atiku think about? They remembered that we had gas and that we needed to also take advantage of the gas. Yes, once in a while, you may want to stand up as a toddler and then you fall. What is important is that when you fall, you need to now look again what made you to fall. So it was work in progress and so much was being made. So much progress was being made. And what Atiku is saying now is that beyond the fact that we're going to take advantage of the many energy sources so that we'll now have multiple sources of energy, we would have been able to also take cognizance of what looked like a pitfall at that time.
Let's look at, on a final note, the chances of your candidate in this election.
As bright as the Northern Star.
Interesting.
Yes.
You look at the states that the APC controls, it controls almost double the state.
I listened to my elder brother a while ago. He was mentioning the number of governors they had. They are living in the past. This is not the time where you just assume that because you have a governor, it means you have the state. If that were to be the case, Buhari would not even become a president. Because at the time Buhari won the election, PDP had more governors. And now, with the reforms in the electoral system and the amount of information available to Nigerians and the amount of sufferings that Nigerians have gone through, you cannot just tell them that one man will just decide whether, is that man also one of the one who is also, is he taking part in the suffering they are going through? So let me tell you, Atiku has been able to provide for Nigerians a working document that speaks to the issues as it affects them. Whether it's in the area of security, whether it's in the area of uniting Nigerians, whether it's in the area of improving our education sector, whether it's in the area of addressing our economic challenges, or whether it's in the area of devolving power so that the component units will be able to play a much more critical role. Atiku have made it very, very clear. In this election, Shehu, I stand to be corrected. Atiku and Ukowa are the only person speaking to the how. Every other person is talking about what they want to do, and not how they want to do it.
What does the campaign of the likes of the NNPP candidate, Kwankwaso, or the Peter Obi of the Labour Party, how much of a threat are these to you, considering the political permutators who will say these are the votes that should, that would naturally have gone to the PDP, that these gentlemen would have garnered for themselves in the election?
I'm sure, when you gain admission into the university, there were other students in your class. I'm not too sure that those students were threats to you. You know that, yes, you needed to study hard so that you too can come top. When we went into this race, we discovered that, yes, we were going into a contest. We never believed that we were coming in to be crowned as a royal father, in which case, after the community have nominated you, then you just go and receive the staff of office from the governor of the state. We knew that it was a contest. And contest means that we are going to compete with people. And in that contest, we also knew that those who hold the power are the people. Yeah. And that was why we went to them. And so for us, our strength is lie in the Nigerian people who will believe have listened to us.
So Peter Obi is not a threat?
No, it's not a threat. Kwankwaso is not a threat.
What about Tinubu?
They are contestants in this election.
But Tinubu is...
They are contestants. None of them is a threat. They are contestants.
Thank you
so much. The challenges they pose is to enable us also further, to move further into the hinterlands and talk to our people so that they don't deceive people to follow them. That's all.
Charles Aniago, spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much indeed for coming in.
Thanks for having me. It's a privilege.
Well, that's our beat tonight on your brand new election program on Channels Television, which has taken the position of PoliticsToday and Sunday Politics until after the election, is the 2023 verdict, which will bring you all of the stories and the conversation that you need to know in this election. And we're 23 days away. Keep tabs with Channels Television. I will bring you what you need to know as far as the information is concerned. That's our beat tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Okimale. I'll see you tomorrow again from 7 to 8:30. God bless Nigeria.